Exactly 1 year after a deadly work zone crash, News 4 Investigates is uncovering concerning new details in the case.
Tonight, the community is gathering for a vigil to remember the lives lost in that crash. The victims' families say what happened was preventable and they want changes at MoDOT. James Brooks and Caitlin Anderson, who was 6 months pregnant, died. Their co-worker, Michael Brown, survived, but now has lifelong injuries.
The crew was working on Telegraph Road at I-255 in South St. Louis County when a driver plowed through the work zone. One of the MoDOT supervisors overseeing the crew claims they didn't know the key safety policies. Investigator Susan Corey gets answers.
My husband went to work that day and didn't return. A year later, no answers.
Bridget Brooks believes her husband James should be sitting next to her.
It's so unfair and it's so unjust.
Instead, his picture covers memorials.
I'm not sugarcoating this. My husband is gone because negligence that day.
Brooks claims MoDOT could have done more to protect James and his crew.
That's a letter from
one of the crew's supervisors was recently fired for not following safety rules on a different project.
These are your release of employment papers. I said, okay.
Christina Jordan's termination letter doesn't mention the crash, but she oversaw the crew that day and believes it's part of why she was fired.
Somebody on the ground, and I mean boots on the ground, an employee that works, has to take the fall for their mistakes. They'll never admit that the higher up don't even know what they're doing.
That's why Jordan says she's now talking about what went on at MoDOT.
Did you do anything wrong on that day in November?
I don't believe so. I didn't. I sent the crew out on a normal day, doing a normal job like no other day.
Jordan gave News 4 Investigates these training records. The last time she did one for work zones was in 2016, more than 5 years before the crash. The next one was 2 weeks after the crash. What's more, Jordan was supposed to follow these key safety policies called TAs. They're MoDOT's how-to, detailing what's needed at a work zone.
Before the accident, we didn't even know about what a TA was. So after the accident, those were starting to get pulled and, read
What
through.
do you mean you didn't know what a TA was?
We had no idea what a TA was or that we were supposed to be using them. Nobody knew in our building.
TAs are easy to find. MoDOT keeps them online. Jordan claims in her 18 years on the job, she never checked them.
Never even heard of a TA. I thought it was a computer app or computer program or something.
Turns out her boss got in trouble for not following TAs. Earlier this year, News 4 Investigates uncovered Michael Love was put on probation over safety failures related to the crash. He's still on the job and overseeing crews.
It has to stop. It has to stop now. Take accountability.
Bridget Brooks wants changes at MoDOT and for no other family to know the pain she lives with.
It's not okay. It'll never be okay until justice is done.
MoDOT tells us they can't answer any of our questions because they're being sued over the crash. We're closely following that case, which we found is exposing a big loophole in state law that could potentially put you at risk. We're talking to a lawmaker who wants to change that. We'll have more on his plan tonight at 10. Susan Corey, News 4 Investigates.
And this is a story we've been digging into since the crash happened. The driver wasn't charged because prosecutors say he was suffering a medical emergency. We've also looked into why the families believe a protective vehicle could have saved their loved ones. You can see all those stories right now on the KMOV News app.
Okay.